Welcome to Decentralized News. If you're interested in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, and the macro news that affects it, welcome in. We post to YouTube first, so please subscribe if you'd like to catch the videos as soon as they drop. If there are any questions for our team or topics you'd like to see covered, please comment on our videos. The goal is to be open and available to our listeners while providing unfiltered content that can help create genuine conversations to help the entire space grow. Your input is always appreciated, and thank you very much for listening. All right. As always, we have a ton to get to. So a brief disclaimer, this is not financial advice and we are not your financial advisors. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. A broad range of topics and opinions will be given freely today. So please do your own research. I am your host, Pirate of Rees. I am joined today by Adamus and Ozzy. Welcome in, gentlemen.
Hello. How's it going?
I am doing great. Thank you very much. How are you doing, Ozzy?
I'm doing great. I'm super pumped for today. It's tons and tons of news, and that's always a good thing. So let's get into
Well,
it.
let's kick it right off. We got macro news to start. The US CPI report comes out tomorrow. That's the inflation numbers. January 12th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, with expectations that will show inflation is slowing.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of expecting, we were closer to 6.7. So people are expecting it to be even lower than that. And that's coming into the big Fed meeting on February 1st. So right now, there's a pretty high probability people are looking at a quarter basis point or half a basis point with.
Yeah, the numbers I saw were like 77% to 23%, 77% being the 0.25.
Yeah, it's very, very heavily weighted towards a quarter basis point based off of the strong unemployment data that we got. And I guess expectations that inflation is going to be even further down. So we'll see though. Powell has not been someone that's let up quickly.
Yeah, the market seems to react to the expectations. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
If it does come in at those sort of figures, it's priced in, hasn't it, really? I don't think there'll be, if it does hit those figures, I don't think there'll be any crazy volatility that we normally saw whenever these speeches go on.
I think we might get a minor pump. I think CPI could give a nice boost to the market if it is as people are expecting, because it'll just mean that they're pricing in the fact that rate hikes will likely be ending sooner than later. But I think,
I wouldn't be expecting like a crazy thing that we've seen in the past, basically.
No, I don't think it'll be as crazy. I think the market's kind of calming down a little bit. So that's good.
Speaking of the Fed, sandwiched in with all this, we had unemployment numbers, what was it, a couple days ago, that came in better than expectations. Then the man, the myth, the legend, Jerome Powell gives a speech. He talked about restoring price. He didn't really talk much about Fed policy or give any insight into what they might do. But basically, it was an interesting quote: restoring price stability when inflation is high can require measures that are not popular in the short term as we slow the economy. It was this quote: the absence of direct political control over decisions allows us to take these necessary measures without considering short-term political factors. I just thought that was like, yeah, this is what we can do. There's really no comments or insight given on what they might do on February 1st.
To me, the one inclination that gives me from the speech is that we might actually see half a basis point, because he's talking about doing something that might be unpopular in the short term. And so half a basis point right now would be unpopular. And so that's the inclination that I'm getting from it.
The reading the tea leaves comment?
Yeah. Yeah, if I were to read the tea leaves, that's maybe what he's trying to get the market to see, is he wants to show half a basis point, a quarter basis point, or something along those lines, heading into the next 3 kind of rate hikes. And so I think
his rhetoric definitely is strong, and we're not going to stop or lower interest rates anytime soon, or we're going to keep at it. But we'll see. Just moving on from Jerome Powell and the Fed, the World Bank warns of a global recession in 2023. They cut their global economic output from 3% down to 1.7%. And inside these numbers, it was led by cut in U.S. projections from 2.4% to 0.5%, 0.5.
I think it's fair. There's a lot of factors. We've seen a lot of layoffs starting to happen in tech. We've seen a lot of exchanges lay off staff. We're going to talk about a few more layoffs in the rest of this show. So I think that's going to be something that that's going to have a factor on the US especially.
I mean, it was no surprise to anyone. That's like, but we're heading through a recession. Like, we're already in it, really. So just got to crack on, haven't we? Like, these things happen, and then eventually it turns around again.
Yeah, I had a
VC. It is what it is.
I had a VC that I talked with a couple days back, and they were saying it's going to be hard to get investments from venture capitalists for most startups this year, and startups make a big portion of tech, and so we probably won't see as many tech startups or crypto startups this year because it'll just be hard to get venture capital funding because interest rates are so high. So,
the direct quote they gave in this report was, global growth is slow to the extent that global economy is perilously close to global recession. And then when they talked about the reason why, they talked about an unexpected but rapid and synchronized tightening of monetary policy around the world.
Makes sense. Supply chain issues affected everybody. And because there's supply chain issues affecting everybody, everyone basically did the same monetary policy at the same time. Normally there's other factors that affect it. So people are doing different things at different times. But no, everything with COVID, how COVID hit the economic market and supply chains was synonymous across the world. So I'm not surprised. But we should probably move on to Binance. They're continuing to be not only a big player as a centralized exchange, but a big player in the news. This piece of bearish news is hedge funds that have been subpoenaed amid money laundering investigation. So the DOJ... Go ahead.
Yeah, two insiders told the Washington Post that the hedge funds who have dealt with Binance in the past are being asked by the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Western District of Washington, to turn over records of communication with the global crypto conglomerate. These subpoenas are the newest additions to an investigation that's coming up on its second year anniversary. The Justice Department and the IRS opened a case in May of 2021 to find out whether Binance was enabling money laundering through trading services. There was thoughts that this was winding down, but this probe may be evidence, or there's evidence that they're still probing and searching for money laundering and violations of the Bank Securities Act. Let's see, it was John Ghost, a former U.S. prosecutor, tells the Post that subpoenas are likely the Justice Department's method of determining whether Binance has U.S. customers and may pave the way for action against Binance for not verifying American customers with the U.S. government.
Which, if you consider everything, this investigation isn't a big deal because just on our last show, we talked about Coinbase got nailed for insufficient user verification, and they paid 100 million in fines, or 50 million in fines, and 150 million in compliance. So I know a lot of people were making a huge deal about this a couple weeks back, but really, it's not as big a deal as everyone's painting it out to be. If they have to pay $100 million fine, as we'll talk about in other stories, Binance isn't really concerned or worried about doing that.
Yeah, maybe it's just the government trying to get their pound of flesh.
Yeah, get their pound of flesh, ensure compliance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And again, like I was saying last week, a bit of a stepping stone into more regulation, isn't it? And making the place, the whole space safer for everyone. And like you say, they'll just pay a fine, and they'll be happy doing it. And again, if they go along, just get the pound of flesh. I think the government would be happy with that.
Yeah.
There's another one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
There was another kind of negative story about Binance. It was revealed they admit previous BUSD collateralization issues and mismanagement. I guess back in like 2020, 2021, BUSD wasn't 100% back, but the market was doing better. So it wasn't an issue back then, but they've admitted to it.
Okay. It's this thing where they printed $1 billion extra. They didn't have.
I don't know much more about the
I think I saw a tweet on that. Okay.
Yeah, beyond that, but more that they just admitted that, yeah, it did happen, but it's been resolved. I don't know
Yeah.
that we can like all of what they're saying is verifiable.
You can verify
But it's
most of it on chain.
but it's just interesting that they did admit, oh, this was,
Transparency. No one can call them out for lying.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
They're not.
but the,
They're owning it. So like, really,
Yeah.
if they admitted yes, it was under collateralized, but they fixed it, then there's no issue. It's yes, we realized that there was a problem with the under collateralization, and we've addressed it. It said that some of it had to do with operational delays in the past, and so obviously it wasn't that they didn't want to collateralize it fully. It was just things not going exactly smoothly, and so I'm not too worried about this. It seems that they're being upfront. So
well, speaking about the smoothness, like while all these kind of negative stories are going on, Binance has a bunch of positive too. They gained regulatory approval or gained approval to acquire bankrupt crypto lender Voyager. And there was some issue there. The government was stopping it for a second or asking some questions. Binance gained regulatory approval to offer crypto services in Sweden. The CEO says the exchange is hiring compared to others. Everyone else seems to be letting go. 1,200 to 2,400 employees in 2023. And Binance's annual revenue has grown 10 times over the past 2 years, reaching 12 billion in 2022 in the down market.
yeah,
Yeah. You get the rough, you get the smooth. So it's pretty good if they can do all this that they're saying that they're going to do. If they do get a Voyager, and if they do work with the Swedish regulations, and if they end up hiring all these people, these are all really bullish signs. And again, Binance has been around for a while on our favourite FTX. Been through bad times for them. They're just coming out stronger. So pretty bullish on that, really, to be fair.
yeah. Really, all the negative stories that they're dragging up are basically old stories and things that they've addressed, and all of the positive stories are current and or upcoming. And so I really have a hard time. People are still talking about Binance is going to collapse, and I'm not going to say never, but it's
Yeah, facts are facts, and there still are heavy withdrawals coming out. Some threats, some real threats.
yeah, somewhere they mentioned 12 billion in withdrawals in the last 6 months, and but if their
They've all been
total
paid as well.
revenue, if their total revenue is 12 has grown to 12 billion, then it really doesn't matter, because if they're just withdrawing assets, if it's just people withdrawing assets, it doesn't matter, especially because they make most of their money off of the trading volume. It's not that huge of a deal. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch this story unfold through the year, see what happens with Binance.
Yeah.
We'll be watching closely. Another kind of big player right now is the digital currency group and what's going on with Gemini and the Winklevoss. One story, the price of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust increased by 12% a day. This was yesterday, I think,
2 days ago.
2 days ago. And so there was a pump off of that discounted price that improved all this. But also Tyler Winklevoss penned another open letter, this time to the digital currency group board, called, what is it? Saying that they're being defrauded and that they should need to get rid of Barry Silbert and replace him.
Yeah, I think it was actually Cameron. It wasn't Tyler, but yeah, they're trying to get Barry Silbert kicked off the board. So that's and removed. So that's pretty interesting. They're really taking it public with this fight, and it'll be interesting to see how this resolves. I mean, the Winklevoss can't do anything to really get him removed other than scream and shout about it. And like Gemini, they're at DCG's goodwill or whatever to get this resolved.
I heard a take online. It was that they're just trying to shift blame because they have some culpability too, because one of their mandates or self-imposed mandates was to make sure that everything was solvent with the third parties that they work with, and that there was no negligence on their part because they knew this was that potentially they knew there were issues, but they were carrying on anyway. I thought that was interesting. And something about the way, like Gemini can't, they can be sued because they can't file for bankruptcy, like Celsius and Voyager and some of these other people have been able to do. So they're trying to shift blame. It was just an interesting take. It was just an angle I had not heard of.
Yeah, that is a very interesting take. It is partially what they're trying to do. They're trying to shift the narrative, but at the same time, it is DCG that did have $900 million sitting on FTX.
Yeah, they're getting some heat for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some more bearish news before we do some bullish news. Nepal orders internet service providers to block crypto-related websites and apps. Downer news story.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of take. I think,
It's being effective.
yeah, I don't know. Are they being overprotective? Do they want to control their citizens? What's going on? Who knows?
Continuing on with the bearish news, I guess it goes to show to me that countries are taking different stances. Some are being open and integrated quickly, and others are like, no, not until we know more. Or just shut it down. There's kind of two multiple roads that you can take, and we'll see a lot of them play out. Continuing on with the bearish news, though, Coinbase will reduce staff by another 20%. In total, 2,000 people have been fired from the exchange since June last year.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more exchanges lay off staff, trading volumes down significantly. And on top of that, Coinbase is stock, as they're a publicly traded company, is at all-time lows. They actually got a little relief rally on their stock after they announced these cuts. So
Yeah, but it's gone down against today 4%.
oh jeez.
Good time to jump in again there, to be fair. Maybe all the staff could go work for Binance.
Yeah.
And they're hiring.
Yeah, not financial advice, but yeah, it's a very different asset, and maybe the fundamentals are worth looking at.
I think so. Not financial.
Not financial advice.
This was a story that you just added, Ozzy. I guess it just announced $10 trillion asset manager BlackRock to begin mass layoffs. Maybe this is a sign of the coming global recession.
Yeah, it's the first time they lay off staff since 2019. So they didn't even lay off staff during the pandemic, which a lot of companies did. That's pretty big, and they're cutting 500 jobs. So it's not a huge percent of their workforce because they've got over 18,000 people working for them. But it's still a pretty significant number considering just how big a company BlackRock is. $10 trillion in assets, and they're feeling the tightening from the markets. That's crazy.
Yeah, sign of the times.
Definitely sign of the times.
Crypto.com, this is a Canadian story. Crypto.com to the list Tether USDT in Canada, citing compliance with local regulators. I did not look into this story.
I did. It's because it is Canadian.
Okay.
We didn't really have access to USDT in most Canadian just anyways. I forget exactly the reason why, but basically we're usually on USDC or BUSD. Both of those are considered legal in Canada, and that's to be expected. It was just our securities agency is getting a little bit more strict on crypto after FTX, but it's not a big deal in the end because you can just move to USDC. So a little bit of bad news for Tether, losing a little bit of market share, but as they become more reliable, or like people can trust their collateralization again, then I think the story will turn around, and maybe this is Coinbase's move to try to gain market share in the stablecoin market. But
we can turn to bullish news off of that one, but it's good to know it's not a big deal. It's not worrying my Canadian friend. BTC and the crypto market seen a bit of a rally lately. C is officially over 17K and appears to be holding on to the gains at the moment. It's nice to have a little bit of good news despite most of the news being bearish.
Yeah, but alongside that, Indonesia has launched their own cryptocurrency exchange.
Nice.
It's apparently doing beta tests right now, but they're planning to launch it in 2023 to the public. So that's pretty, like, it's bullish. It means more countries being open to cryptocurrencies. And if people have nice and safe access to crypto through a government exchange, then it's great. It's centralized, but it's at least they'll have an easy way to onboard their fiat into crypto.
Regulation, isn't it? Double side.
Absolutely.
There, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Great news.
Great news. On another note, MasterCard, who them and Visa keep every week coming out with new stories about how they're partnering with crypto. So MasterCard is partnering with Polygon to launch a Web3 musician accelerator program called Legend.
Oh, that's not the Legend one. That's different. That's Warner Music Group and Polygon. That's the other story that came out in early December. So this one's the MasterCard Artist Accelerator Program. Via a January 7th blog post outlining from this spring, it will connect 5 emerging musicians from across the globe with mentors that will help them set up their Web3 brand. The artists will gain exclusive access to special events, music releases, and more. First of its kind curriculum will teach the artists how to build their brand through Web3 experiences, like minting NFTs, representing themselves in virtual worlds, and establishing an engaged community. The program will culminate with a live stream artist showcase later in the year. Interesting. But it looks like they're going to take a small group and kind of put them through the program, was how I read it.
Yeah. Cool. For the music scene.
Yeah, it's exciting. But the one you were talking about.
Doing a lot of good partnerships, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah.
Like, it seems every other week there's a massive firm getting involved with them. The partnership team is on fire, like, at the moment.
It makes me think of Polygon like competing with Gala Music in a way. But building on the Polygon in this part of this story, which I had missed this, but builds on the previous Cointelegraph report from early December. The global entertainment giant Warner Music Group has partnered with Polygon Studios and e-commerce and interactive platform builder LGN to build a Web3 music platform called Legend Music, LGND. And the website is live. You can go sign up and stay updated on it. Go check it out. There's a facts page there and everything. I'm just learning about it now. But there's music to listen to. There's things you can buy. I'm not sure what they are, the NFTs, but you can listen to it also. So I'm not really, and I'm ahead around 100%. Intriguing nonetheless.
Absolutely. And then our good old friend FTX rears its head in.
Wait, we can't have a show without mentioning it.
Yeah. So as part of their bankruptcy processes, it turns out that 117 of their affiliates, so FTX was not just one company, there was hundreds and hundreds of affiliates below them. 117 of them have found buyers, and all of those funds will help cover the hole that FTX has and help potentially make investors whole again. That's really dependent on a lot of things.
Which, even if they can get halfway there, like, that would be amazing. That would absolutely help the space massively.
Absolutely.
The bullish sentiment on that would be fantastic. I don't know how long the process would be to get the funds to the investors to make them whole. You hear with this MT Cox thing in years and years, so I don't know how long this should take. It seems like they're moving quite quick on it. It might not happen anytime soon, but at least it'll help the center in the short term, I would have thought.
Yeah, and given what was the ruling with Celsius that came out, where all the Bitcoin that had been deposited on Celsius was property of Celsius, even though it was deposited by investors, because investors gave up their right to their Bitcoin. It will depend on the fine print on the terms and conditions for FTX. So it could just become property of FTX and help pay off their other creditors, but hopefully that's not the case and it belongs to investors.
Time will tell.
FTX, there's some bankruptcy hearings, and one thing that came out of it was FTX has recovered $5 billion assets. That's a huge number.
That is a huge number.
Yeah, like I say, more or less half, isn't it? Was it 12 in total, was it?
I think
Yeah. I'm saying, so even if
the lowest number I heard was like 8 billion.
I didn't know it was 12
billion up.
Even better if it is 8.
Yeah. I don't know.
And apparently this number doesn't even include the 425 million that is currently held by the Bahamian government. So
Oh,
5.5 billion.
yeah, so that's a huge hole that's being slowly filled. And I would not be surprised if that'll start bringing the space the good news that it needs to get moving up again. And it has started moving up, but this is even more good news. And this just came out today. So that's pretty crazy.
It is nice to see some signs of the dust settling with FTX, because it just seemed like their domino fall. This is a couple of stories that are like, okay, maybe there's a bottom to this, but not without,
I've been listening to you because you talk quite a bit. Nice $100.
but not without the crazy stories still coming out about FTX. And there was a story that came out, I think it was yesterday, about how they spent 40 million on food, flights, and hotels in just 9 months. It's a story about their extravagant spending. But one of the details was that in the Bahamas, they couldn't get their Amazon Prime deliveries. So they set up a charter, like a private charter for them to deliver their Amazon Prime Florida to the Bahamas. So they could just deliver it there and have stuff delivered. Yeah. Just the degree they were willing to go for luxury.
Oh my God.
This is absolutely hilarious. Just like
I found like the next Netflix film.
Yeah. God.
Great.
Are you going to be the one playing Sam Bankman-Fried, or are you Carolyn Ellis?
Oh, I don't know. It's 2023. It could be whatever I want to be, kind of. So, no, I'm being Sam. I've got the beer belly for it.
Oh, God.
That's what you meant to say. No, you haven't. You're very slim.
Ha,
for a
ha,
blue
ha.
monkey.
Yeah, you're very slim for a blue monkey.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like I could probably pull off, Carolyn. I've got the hair for it. I've got the long hair for it.
Okay, deal. All right.
All right.
That's all stories for today. We'll finish on that fun note from you guys. Do you have any shout outs you want to make before we close up for today?
No, good. Thanks for having us on again. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to next week's.
Yeah, I look forward to our show recording on Saturday or Sunday. So keep tuning in, everybody. We've appreciated all the support so far.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to Decentralized News. Please consider liking and subscribing to see the videos as soon as they drop, and stay tuned for our next episode. Have a great day, everyone.